What does this airplane, and this airplane all have in common? Let's find out on Celebrating Aviation with Mike Mashat. What these three diverse aircraft all have in common is that they are powered by the Pratt & Whitney R-2800 double WASP engine. The double WASP is an American twin-row 18-cylinder air-cooled radial aircraft engine and a proud descendant of the famous WASP family of engines. This power plant became known for its great ruggedness and reliability and saw widespread use in many significant aircraft during and after World War II. Let's take a look at the specifications. It's an 18-cylinder twin-row, 2,805 cubic inch displacement, and for my international viewers, that's 46 liters, 2,000 horsepower at 2,700 RPM, and this was boosted up to 2,800 horsepower over the lifespan of the engine. And it was equipped with water injection for emergency power during combat operations. Now, before I go any further, I should mention that if you're new to the channel and you don't have this book in your library, if you're into these kinds of engines, you are definitely going to want a copy. And we're having an exclusive offer from the publisher, Specialty Press. It's a 10 by 10 hardbound, 216-page, high-quality book with 300 color and black and white photos, and this offer is for a limited time. Click on the easy link below and enter Mike in the coupon code for a 25% discount. The book will be delivered right to your door. So raise your hand if you ever saw, heard, or even stood next to a large radial engine as it roared to life. It's an unforgettable experience from a bygone era. Pratt & Whitney R-2800s were produced from 1939 to 1960. A massive total of 125,334 units were built. And we're going to show you all the aircraft that were powered by R-2800s, from concepts that never left the drawing board, like this Beechcraft multi-engine trainer, to legendary aircraft like the Douglas DC-6B, considered one of the most successful piston-powered airliners ever built. Although the first R-2800 flew in a special Vultee testbed in 1939, the first production aircraft to be powered by this engine was the Vought XF-4U Corsair, which first flew at Stratford, Connecticut on May 29, 1940. 1 year later, another famed fighter of World War II made its debut at nearby Farmingdale, New York, the prototype XP-47B, predecessor to the renowned Thunderbolt line of fighter aircraft, or machines I like to call the superstars. Let's take a look. We're going to show you these airplanes, and I have also noted the number of engines originally delivered for production. This does not include the spare engines that were produced later. So the P-47, 15,683 built. The Razorback that you saw previously, here's the Bubble Canopy D model, and the high-altitude P-47N. The Corsair proved itself in combat during the war in the Pacific and became the first U.S. aircraft to fly 400 miles per hour in level flight. Wait a minute, I have a better picture of a Corsair. Yeah, that's more like it. Thought I'd get the model cover out of the way. This is Navy ace Ira Kepford's Jolly Rogers Corsair, the Jack Lenwood cover, magnificent piece of artwork. And here's the other Navy superstar airplane, the Grumman F-6F Hellcat. 12,278 were built. Here we see two factory-fresh Hellcats flying off the southern coast of Long Island. Let's take a look at an operational airplane just for comparison. Here's a Hellcat on board a carrier. The Martin B-26 Marauder, 10,532 engines. And the executive version of the B-26 was a conversion that boasted a 260 mile per hour cruise speed in an era before executive jets. The Curtiss Commando flew the hump in India The C-46 was a large airplane, larger than the C-47, 6,364 engines. And what's better than a Lockheed Ventura shown flying off the coast of Ventura, California? Here's a nice shot of the engine installation. 6,000 engines produced. The Douglas B-26 Invader, one of my favorites, 4,800 engines. And here's an interesting airplane. I'm going to spend a few moments on this one. This is the Douglas DC-6. It was called Mainliner 300 in use by United. I asked United pilot and legend Clay Lacey how that airplane got its name, and he mentioned that the Mainliner 300 was because this was Douglas's first airplane to fly 300 miles per hour as an airliner. The DC-6, 2,148 engines produced. And what we see here is a factory fresh United DC-6B on the Douglas ramp at Santa Monica, deplaning mock passengers for a promo photo. And here's a United DC-6 being towed into United's brand new automated maintenance facility at San Francisco International Airport in 1948. I took this photo while stationed in the Air Force in northern Japan in 1967 as I prepared to board a Douglas C-118, the military cargo and passenger version of the DC-6A freighter. You'll notice this airplane is devoid of Air Force markings. It was operated by Air America for Air Force personnel security service stationed in the Far East. I thought I'd take a few minutes to really take a good look at the DC-6. Let's climb aboard this airplane and check out the cabin. This is the first class section, and you notice it's located in the rear of the airplane. Why? Because it was further away from the engines. You notice the club lounge in the very tail there. And here's the cockpit, complete with the radio rack at left, a flight engineer's seat turned facing forward, and the fully equipped, then modern cockpit for airline pilots of that day. Now we have the Northrop P-61 Black Widow, radar-directed night fighter, 1,414 engines delivered. And the P-61 had the highest power variant of the R-2800, the Dash 77, 2,800 horsepower. These engines were equipped with GE CH-5A3 turbochargers. The Grumman F-8F Bearcat, last single-engine piston airplane Grumman produced, 1,256 engines. And you may know that the Bearcat was the second airplane used by the U.S. Navy Aerial Demonstration Squadron, better known today as the Blue Angels. The Martin Mariner PBM-5, 1,256 engines delivered. And I love this photo. This is a Mariner taking off with JATO or RADO, as you wish, assist, solid rocket boosters, giving it exceptional performance. We have another airliner, the Convair 240, 1,142 engines delivered. And take a look at this. This is an amazing installation. The Convair engineers were really on their game. This is the clamshell nacelle that opened up to allow easy maintenance for the entire engine. The T-29 was the Navigator Bombardier trainer used by the Air Force, variant of the Convair 240. And finally, at 1,000 engines delivered, we have the Vickers Warwick, a light bomber from Great Britain. And here we see it being outfitted for search and rescue work with a lifeboat. But notice the engine installation on the right. The Consolidated Seawolf, and wait a minute, the Vought Seawolf? Well, this airplane was designed originally by the Vought Corporation, but when they wound up with the Corsair production contract, they were unable to fulfill the Navy contract to build the Seawolf, and so that was given to Consolidated in San Diego, and they created a number of them, but they were never used extensively in operation. The Grumman AF Guardian anti-sub patrol aircraft, the Grumman F-7F Tiger Cat, and the North American A.J. Savage carrier-based attack bomber. Transports. Now, this is interesting. The Lockheed Constellation, Oh, wait a minute. My phone's ringing and what? My cell phone's blowing up and there goes the fax machine. What's going? Oh, yeah, I get it. Everybody's commenting that everyone knows the Lockheed Constellation was powered by Wright R-3350 duplex Cyclones. Well, yeah, the production airplanes, but the first prototype Lockheed C-69 transport built for the Army Air Forces was powered by Pratt & Whitney R-2800s. Look at these engine nacelles and compare them to these, the Wright engines on an 049 Constellation. The Martin 202, Martin's answer to the Convair 240 and the DC-3 replacement that everyone was trying to build at that time. And then the improved Martin 404. The Convair 340, an enlarged, improved version of the 240. And the radar-equipped Convair 440 as well. Now here's the Lockheed Model 18 Lodestar. And the Lodestar was powered by twin Wright R-1820 radials. But compare this original airliner with the highly modified D. Howard conversion, the Howard 500. What an amazing looking airplane. And this was equipped with R-2800s. This deluxe executive aircraft cruised at 350 miles an hour and had a blistering top speed of 410 miles per hour. The Fairchild C-82 Packet, predecessor to the C-119. And yes, this is the airplane that was used in the great movie Flight of the Phoenix with Jimmy Stewart. And this is an ironic twist. This C-82 was used by TWA. It was nicknamed Ontos, which stood for The Thing. And this airplane was stationed in Europe and flew spare engines to stranded Connies all around the Eastern Hemisphere. The problematic R-3350s with turbo compound boosting were problematic, and many three-engine landings were made with the Constellations at that time. So it's ironic that a R-2800 powered cargo plane brings the replacement engines for the 3350. And finally, the Fairchild C-123 Provider. Gosh, what a beautiful photo. A real, flying cloudscape depiction of the airplane. This was later boosted with jet engines to augment the R-2800s. Now, believe it or not, there were helicopters that were powered by R-2800s. Let's take a look. The Bell Model 61, or HSL, was an anti-sub patrol copter, had two pilots forward and two sonar operators in the fuselage. You can see the engine there in the open aft fuselage section. The Sikorsky S-56, or CH-37 Mojave, was Sikorsky's first attempt at a multi-engine large troop-carrying helicopter. It was equipped with clamshell doors at the nose, which allowed easy entry and egress for the troops. But take a look at this. Here's the clamshell doors open, but look at the surface area of those engines, the amount of drag and the huge amount of structure involved. Really a compelling statement as to the use of the smaller turbines and more powerful turbine engines later on. But that same engine and drivetrain was applied to the first sky crane, the S-60. And again, you can see the dramatic comparison with the engines of this helicopter to the turbine engines of the S-64 sky crane in use today. Our international country manufacturers produced airplanes equipped with R-2800s as well. In Canada, you had the Canadair C5, a one-of-a-kind conversion of a DC-4 or C-54 with DC-6 windows and DC-6 engines. This was used for VIP transportation and carried heads of state and government officials. At bottom, we have the Nord Noratlas twin-boom cargo airplane from France. Also from France, the Berger 765 Dupont, which stood for two bridges. And the Sud-Est SO-30P Bretagne, or Brittany in English, a light transport. And of course, the very valuable and very wonderful Canadair CL-215 water bomber, predecessor to the turboprop version, the CL-415. These airplanes are invaluable fighting wildfires worldwide. We have experimental aircraft. Let's take a look. Well, no, wait a minute. The Hughes Spruce Goose wasn't really experimental, but this one was, the D2. And this was another wood airplane being developed at the same time as the boat. And here's a rare photo of Howard Hughes seen behind the #1 R-2800 engine being installed. This was a wood airframe, very sleek, and it was the beginning of a prototype that evolved into another airplane we'll see in a minute. But all we ever saw, the D2, were these weird spy photos, and it was mysteriously lost in a very strange hangar fire at a dry lake up in the Mojave Desert where it was being tested. However, the Hughes XF-11 photo recon prototype emerged from that design. This was a metal airplane, but the D2 was the proof of concept. And this is an elegant aircraft, the XF-11. We have it in our Hughes video, if you look at that in the playlists. Here's the North American XB-28, an interesting looking airplane. It was essentially a pressurized, larger version of the B-25 Mitchell. And I hope that guy standing behind the prop is really careful when he walks away from that engine. Now, here are 3 experimental prototypes that never advanced into production. The Brewster XA-32, the Curtiss YP-60, and the Kaiser Fleetwings XBTK. These were all attack and various mission aircraft, but they never made it past this stage. The Northrop XP-56 Black Bullet, an interesting take on the flying wing concept with contra-rotating propellers. And now let's look at the F-15. No, not this F-15. This F-15, the Curtiss XF-15C. This is a unique airplane. It was a hybrid. It was equipped with an R-2800 up front, driving the propeller, and an Alice Chalmers 836 2,700-pound thrust turbojet in the tail. It was an interesting idea, hybrid power plants. Several other airplanes like the Ryan Fireball were also equipped with this, but they never progressed past the prototype stage. And finally, the Northrop F-15 Reporter, F for photo, originally a photo recon conversion of the P-61 Black Widow. But what we see here is an F-15 used by NACA, which stood for National Advisory Committee on Aeronautics, the predecessor to NASA. And here it is as a mothership launching a test missile. But the Pratt & Whitney R-2800 Double Wasp, more than 125,000 built, was indeed an engine for the ages. And it's still flying today on DC-6s in Alaska and Europe, and on beautifully restored classic warbirds flying at air shows all around the globe. So there you have it, a look at a legendary power plant, the R-2800. Special thanks to the great folks and the institutions that allow us to bring these videos to you. We really appreciate their support. And thank you so much for celebrating aviation with Mike Machat. We love bringing these presentations to you. And if you're not on board already, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. And please do hit the like button on the way out. It does help us with YouTube. As always, until next time, take care.